Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Mindful Garden. Today's a beautiful day. It's a wonderful day out today. I got lots of work done today. Felt good. Let's share this out. Come on. Hopefully that worked. Being productive always feels good. Now, if I can keep that up, I can feel recovered and get back going on things. That'd be nice. It'd be nice if I had the time to heal and work on myself and retrain into a new job. And that kind of gets me on to my topic of today. My topic of today is Universal Basic Income. Universal Basic Income, or UBI for short, is a regular income or supplementary income for people who do not have an income. Now, there are various forms of this that have been tried and has actually been quite successful in the past. It's just never been tried long enough to allow its successes to build up. And that is something it would be nice to see tried, and instead of it being canceled before it really gets a chance to get going. A universal basic income would add support in our social system that our social system doesn't have. Because right now our social systems require you to be meeting a requirement before you get this income instead of you just not having an income. Hey, Chelsea. Anyway, just a universal basic income would unify and unite our countries, most of them, I think, in a manner that we have not seen before in the past. Now, everyone says it's not affordable, but there are lots of ways to pay for it, and there are lots of people who are proponents of it that have come up with ways to pay for it, including lotteries and other taxation systems that would eventually recover the tax that would require to pay for it. But something like a universal basic income, what would it do? Well, it would free people up to be retrained, to turn into other jobs, like in a position that I am, where I'm getting older and I can't work physical jobs like I used to. And I'm finding with my disabilities that I've built up over time that it's hard to work a physical job. And I need to be retrained into something else, but everything right now requires you to get an incredibly large debt load if you're going to retrain yourself and start yourself off in a horrible position, instead of us as a society working together to support everybody and make it so that everybody gets a easy start to begin and get themselves ahead. And it works in other countries where they offer free education and so forth like that. Here, it's not as easy. You have to meet requirements, which makes it hard for someone like me that has disabilities, makes it hard for filling out paperwork and so on. If we simplified things to a universal basic income where I just had a basic income and I could concentrate on retraining, then I could just retrain and become a new enterprising person under a new thing. And I think, yes, you can see those drawings behind me, as Chelsea is pointing out, is making comments. Those are all drawings that I have done. That's what I do in the Mindful Garden, and that's what I would like time to do. And that's what I would say, like, let's take a look into a universal basic income, and what would you do with it? I, as an artist, would work on my art and develop my art, and probably be able to develop my art to a point where I didn't need an income, because I'd be able to develop my own income doing my own art, healing, gardening, and everything that I want to do in the Mindful Garden. So we could easily make a better world just by investing in a few generations and a universal basic income, or stuff along those lines. Better social programs that are less restrictive and more adaptive to the market of the economy. Because if we give money to the people that will actually spend it, they will stimulate the economy and drive the economy farther and faster and recover the economy better. Now, all of this is well proven in other studies and economic studies and such. And I don't have. I would love to have a guest, Chelsea. I would love to have a guest. You're my first guest. Anyway, back on my topic of universal basic income, it simplifies the social programs and makes it so that we can simplify our taxation system and social system to a new degree, thus making it so that we could release some of the burden of the social system that we have now. And that would be a good thing. And that would release people to free them up to do other jobs. And that's, everyone would say, well, that's getting people out of jobs, but that's public service jobs that rely taxation to pay. So we need to get it so that we have it so that they can be retrained under the new system and turned into new jobs where they have an education. So I'm sure they could easily come up with something where they could be easily retrained and do something different. But if we work together and support each other with a universal basic income, we could also make it so that we all have to work a little bit less through manufacturing and automation and all of that that's coming in the line. We can always most complicated thing about the current social system. The most complicated, basically right now, you have to have, for getting social assistance in most systems, you have to have nothing. So if you have any assets whatsoever, you have to burn through them before you get any help. Therefore, every time you start out, you're starting out from the very rock bottom instead of keeping what you have built up for yourself and just getting some social assistance to get you over a rough patch like an unemployment situation or a long-term unemployment situation or a retraining situation and so on. There are so many different roadblocks that they put into getting social assistance or disability or anything like that, that it makes it so the people who would get it don't. They just end up continue working and work miserable and work unhealthy, and they don't get into the system because the system takes too much to work. And that's where people almost become professional welfare recipients in Canada, at least the way it goes, is because you have to know the system well enough to be able to be in the system. So you end up just becoming a professional welfare recipient instead of getting a hand up like they did in Saskatchewan when I lived there a few years ago. They had it so that the welfare system made it so that they supplemented your income and made it so that you would I would just simply transfer to simplify things. It would just simply switch to a universal basic income so that as soon as your income dropped below a certain level, you got it supplemented no matter what. So even if you were unemployed, if you quit and had to retrain or are looking to change your life, you have an opportunity to do so. Or if you say someone who has fallen into drug abuse or someone who has fallen into disabilities and stuff like that, you can be supported in a system, and that system, instead of like our current system kind of demonizes people for being disabled and makes it so that you are felt like a leech. And that's like, I know a lot of disabled people like to get back to work, and if the system was made easier and less restrictive so that it didn't get back to work they would work in new jobs and so forth that they would do. I know lots of people like to get back to work, and I know that for a fact from talking to them personally. But a lot of them end up not working because as soon as you start working, their disability gets cut right away, which is a very big problem because then they don't have expenses. And if you're disabled, that becomes a very big issue if you end up current social system. How do you think the universal basic income would affect you? Well, it would simplify it and cut it so that it wouldn't be such a heavy burden on the taxpayer. So the taxpayer wouldn't have to pay for as much administration in a universal basic income situation. That's at least what I have learned over time and in my studies of the topic. So it simplifies the social system by leveling the playing field and making it so that like something like employment insurance would be almost privatized because it's supplementing your employment. So you would buy employment insurance just in case the extra employment you got was something that you wanted to supplement to keep it going. There's lots of things that we could discuss on that. When I mean taxpayer, I think we should be tax. Like Chelsea's here is asking if I mean the blue collar taxation. Like for me, the majority taxpayers should be the entire tax base, and the entire tax base should be taxed at an equal percentage, in which right now it is not, because the upper parts of the percentage and corporations do not pay an equal tax percentage. And that's where a large amount of the income for a universal basic income could come from, is proper taxation of corporations and large people who make extraordinarily large incomes and avoid the taxation in tax shelters right now. We need to eliminate those tax shelters. That's definitely something we need to do. There's lots to discuss on this topic for sure. I like to keep it around 15 minutes, and I've been going around 15 minutes. I'd like to thank Chelsea for poking in and asking some questions. That's actually very good input and very helpful. Let's close out with a little bit of a prayer today. Well, she's asking, why does the government set up the taxation? Its current system is set up because it perpetuates a system that is benefiting the people who are controlling the system. So we have to win their hearts so that they can release their control on the system and make it so that we can get better. I think we're actually making headway that way. Let's put a little prayer for that one. Let's make a prayer for opening up people's hearts today. Today I would like to thank the world and the universe for giving us the energy and the capacity to get things done. Let us see wisdom in new ways and old ways combined together. And let us see open hearts amongst the people. And let us open our hearts and open the hearts of the people who right now seem to have closed hearts and don't have much compassion. Let's open those hearts. Amen. Hi, Anna. I'm just closing out. It was a beautiful day, and we'll see you guys all again in the Mindful Garden. I keep these videos around 15 minutes or so. This one kind of pulled a little longer, I think. You guys have yourself a great day. Goodbye.